Quick intros. Hey guys, it's Max Calandrillo. I'm really glad to be back today. We have the semifinals of the Boxing Debate Grand Prix, the Boxing Debate Tournament. I'm really excited for this one. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. And we've got some big names. We've got our Final Four, and we've got some judges as well. So without taking too much time, very quick intros. Adam's Boxing Show, one of our judges. Tell everyone a little bit about who you are, your experience with helping out this tournament.
Hey, Adams Boxing Show, Wayne and Jermaine, man, the twins, man, DC area, man. You know what it is, man. Shout out to everybody on the panel, man.
Much appreciated. Glad to have you here, brother. Billionaire Boxing TV, you as well, my friend. Your experience being on here and just a little bit about yourself in the space.
Yo, this is BBTV. I'm the season 2 champ. I'm back to judge, man. Last time was great, and I just came. I'm ready to get it on, man. Let's go.
Cannot wait to have you as well, brother. Really looking forward to it. Blunson Boxing, you'll be competing. One of the 4 contestants that we have. You're taking on a very formidable opponent as well. Tell us a little bit about yourself in this tournament and yourself in the fight space.
Man, just a boxing fan who likes to talk about boxing. So we do a space every Monday, open mic where we all just talk about the sport of boxing, the sport we love, and we do it for hours.
Love it, man. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much for coming on. Really excited to have you as well. Spit Bucket JJ Solomon, tell us a little bit about yourself. You'll be taking on Blunson Boxing and your experience in the space.
Spit Bucket Podcast, contestant from season 1, got booted by Billionaire Boxing, the season 2 champ. I was a judge in season 2. A lifelong diehard boxing fan, unbiased boxing fan. I love it all. Spit Bucket Podcast covers boxing and just men talk, marriage, fatherhood, mental health, that sort of deal. So give us a follow and much appreciation, Max, for putting this together.
Most definitely. Thank you so much for coming on. We're really excited to have you compete. WSB Remy, the newcomer in these tournaments. Tell us a little bit about yourself in the space and your experience in these tournaments as well.
Yeah, I love it. I judged this season 1, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's season 2.
Season 2, okay. Yeah, I've been watching what everybody's been doing since you started it. I watched the cusp of it even begin, and I knew it would be something great for the sport. I feel like this is extremely important for guys like us, media guys who are really like adding to the conversation around the sport, because we know, we help build the narratives for these things. So I appreciate you having me on, bro, and I'm trying to kick some ass today.
Most definitely. Thank you so much for the summary as well. You're taking on Home of Boxing. Home of Boxing, how are you, brother? You were a newcomer last season. Tell us quickly a little bit about yourself and your experience competing in these tournaments.
Yeah, hello. This is HOB Home of Boxing. I participated in the last tournament, and then I also was a judge. And now I'm going against Remy today, so it's gonna be a good one. I'm excited. I'm glad that all you guys are here, and we can always talk about boxing. And yeah, I'm just excited to see how this goes.
Means a lot, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on. And St. Lloyd Sports saving the day. We were missing a judge, and you came in last minute to really help us out. I really appreciate you a ton, brother. Tell us really quickly a little bit about yourself in the fight space, what you're working on, and your experience in these tournaments, brother.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're coming in good.
Perfect. Yeah, appreciate you having me on, Max. I believe I participated in season 2, if I'm not mistaken. Was my first time ever debating. It was great, amazing, enjoyed it. And this time I'll be judging. I look forward to doing that. Salute to all the guys on the panel. Salute to all the competitors, and salute to the other judges. Max, you already know how I feel about you and you hosting and you putting this thing together. Amazing. I believe everyone here has something to add. And just to piggyback on what the other guy was saying, glad that everyone's here. I do too. I believe our sport needs this. Fellowship is important, especially when it's boxing involved. So yeah, I look forward to judging this event.
Thank you so much, fellas. I really appreciate all of you. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put all the judges in backstage. Lloyd, you've never judged for me. So the way it works basically is after each round, send me a message of your scorecard per round. So 10-9, 10-8 for either name. And at the end of the 3 rounds, I'll announce the scorecards. And if we have time, I'll have you guys chat about why you scored it the way you did. Just be as quick as possible if your scorecard's in between rounds. So here we go. I'm going to put these guys backstage except for Remy and Home of Boxing.
Let's go.
So get started. Sorry, I'm about to sneeze. Last one. All right, fellas. It's about time. Let's do it. I'm excited for it. How you guys feeling? We're gonna get this started, man.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
I'm in animal instinct mode, Max.
Let's
ready.
do it, man. Okay, so I'm gonna find these prompts. I have them right here. It's gonna be 4 rounds. We're gonna try to do 1.5 to 2 minutes uninterrupted, and then a couple minutes back and forth. After a certain point, I'm gonna try to cut it off so you guys don't talk for too long back and forth. But I'm also gonna let the conversation flow naturally. So we'll have Remy go first, uninterrupted. The first prompt that we are going to do: our Saudi Arabia mega fights saving boxing or slowly controlling its future. So Remy, uninterrupted, 1.5 to 2, give or take. Begin.
This is something I want to preface everything I'm saying with. Everything I'm saying is for argument's sake. I do not want to be blackballed. I am a media pundit, and I know my words can be could travel and it might be spoken of. This is strictly for the sake of conversation and debate purposes. Please do not blackball me. So when it comes to Saudi Arabia, initially I was very, very intrigued with the aspects of them being a part of the heavyweight division, the skills challenges. This has been something that's been in the making for months, even years before people remotely knew what was going on. So the inception of it had a lot to do with a guy who doesn't have the best name in the sport. At one point, he was helping a lot of people in the sport, making a lot of movement. He was his promotional company that they started, or management, would you would call it, was very fighter first, and it was called MTK. I think everyone who's actually in the know knows who I'm referring to, so I don't want to name drop this guy because I don't want to be attached to that specifically. But he was the inception of this. So initially, again, it was seeming to be with the guys in the higher weights for them to get the big fights that they weren't getting. Okay, fast forward. Now you get Ring Magazine being bought. We got hit pieces coming out on Frank Warren. We got guys speaking on how if they didn't accept certain purses, it was said that they were ducking. The media gets stories about fighters not signing contracts that, some say were maybe not favorable to the fighter. They have the right to negotiate. So information was disseminated to discredit them or make them look bad, to pressure them to take fights. Me being in media, I've heard all these things. So initially I thought it was great, but when you look at what just happened with Frank Warren, when you look at the little situations like with Conor Benn, things like that, it could be perceived as controlling or a bit mixy at this point. And that's not to say that it isn't helpful, but it's definitely teetering more on controlling than saving at this point. I think it's apparent.
All right, thank you, my friend. Much appreciated. Home of boxing, uninterrupted. Are Saudi Arabia mega fights saving or controlling boxing? Begin.
Oh yes, Saudi Arabia's involvement in boxing has undeniably saved the sport of boxing, and continues to do so by opening doors that were previously locked shut. Promoters who once operated in-house only are now collaborating with other promoters. Without this influence, boxing might be slow and not popular as it is today. Fighters like Terrence Crawford would have struggled for their respect and paydays, potentially derailing the matchups with Canelo Alvarez. Saudi backing is giving athletes the leverage to demand fair deals, reshaping the landscape for the better. Saudi mega events have forced promoters to elevate their game. No longer can they coast on weak headliners or underwhelming cards. The stacked lineups from Riot set a new standard. Promoters realize to stay relevant and keep their events in the conversation, they must compete with good events, or risk of fading and being unknown. This shift has saved the sport of boxing. We're seeing more high quality fights that fans crave. We saw the Usyk showdown with Tyson Fury. It would have been shut down by crazy demands without Saudi's funding. We were able to get undisputed champion in the heavyweight division, also in the light heavyweight division, with Bivol versus Beterbiev, and Crawford versus Canelo as well. History was made. Bouts like Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez as well. Along with countless other super fights owe their existence to the help of Saudi. These matchups have injected excitement and global appeal back into the sport. Promoters can either align with this powerhouse or step up their own efforts. No more half-hearted cards that disappoints or dissatisfies the fans. So Saudi mega fights aren't just saving boxing, it's pushing the entire industry to innovate and deliver, ensuring boxing's long-term success and dominance. It's not controlling the future of boxing, it's just reshaping the sport of boxing and its networks and promoters to deliver better product and create a new exciting wave for the sport of boxing.
Thank you, my friend. Much appreciated. Now you guys are going to be debating back and forth conversation. Remy, you begin. You start talking first, but back and forth. Our Saudi Arabia mega fight, saving or controlling boxing, begin, guys.
I'm so glad you brought up what you brought up, because that's like immediately what I was prepared for in this part. So you said that he brought us the undisputed in light heavyweight and the heavyweight divisions, but I'm sorry to tell you, brother, Josh Taylor got undisputed pre-Saudi Arabian fights. Jermell Charlo got undisputed pre-Saudi Arabian fights. Devin Haney got undisputed. Terrence Crawford, the same guy you brought up, he's undisputed twice before Saudi came into the picture. I think it's all hyperbole. I think a lot of it has to do with the gatekeepers of boxing not appreciating the sport enough to give it its just due everywhere possible. And I say that to say we have a lot of media who are shills for certain promotional companies, so they shit on some and they give others credit and they make everything mixy. All of these fights we didn't get had a lot to do with money. Bottom line, it was the suits. It was the suits. It had nothing to do with the fighters and the promotional. It had nothing to do with the fights not being able to happen. It was the business of the sport. We have to get these companies are like record labels. The big fighters, the big artists, they subsidize the smaller fighters and the smaller artists. So you get these smaller stars. You can't get a Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford every month, bro. That's not how it works. It has to get built up a certain way. And fans got impatient. The media didn't properly convey the information to them why certain fights weren't happening. So everybody started to think that fighters were scared, ignorant things like this, when the money just didn't make sense. And overall, people aren't as interested in boxing just on a basic level as they were because the NBA is so popular, NFL is so popular.
Yeah, no, I see what you're trying to say. The fighters you first named, you said Charlo, Crawford, and I forgot who was the other guy you said. But all those guys, there wasn't going to be any issues for them getting undisputed. The fighters that I just named, we would have never even seen those fights till today. You said they were demanding money, and why didn't they ever get it? Because Saudi was never in the play. So that clearly shows Saudi has saved all those fights from happening. Those fights would have never happened before. Yeah. You said Josh Taylor. I think you said like Josh Taylor.
Bro.
Come on, you're talking. He's not on the same level as those guys. Like, I'm talking about top level fights that a lot of fans wanted.
The WBSS
none of those fights would have
pretty
happened,
popular.
I let you talk for a whole minute. Let me just
no. He said we're supposed to go back and forth. You weren't supposed to let me talk the whole time. You weren't.
You're right. You're right.
You're supposed to interrupt me. Actually, I was waiting for you to interrupt me.
No, and also your point was of saying from the beginning it made no sense what you're trying to say. You weren't even talking about how they're controlling boxing. You're just talking about like different promoters.
Oh no, I was talking about the different arms of Saudi Arabia being involved in boxing. I knew that might have probably went over someone's head, so I'll connect the dots. You have a promotional company with an arm. They have media who can send out information that they want to be sent out. Not even just media, but they have Ring Magazine. That's what I'm saying. So yes, that could be considered.
Yeah, but there's many outlets. There's the Zone. There's like so many. There's like Frank Lawrence.
But you're not addressing what I just said.
You're just talking about one main one. Like if they were controlling boxing,
if I have a media arm,
would be running. They would.
If I have a media arm, that's not having a bit of control. If I have a media arm,
a bit of control. The question is, are Saudi mega events saving boxing or slowly controlling its future? It's both. It's not even there yet. Only if you allow it. And us fans are not allowing that to happen. We have different.
Well, actually, the fans are
just the casuals,
I don't know what accepting the fight, which is great. Fans are just accepting the fights. So I don't think most of the fans.
None of those big fights that I said would have happened. How you were saying?
No. You're missing completely. You think you're just fixed on the fights themselves. No. That's not what's going on. You're completely dismissing and ignoring what I just said because you don't have any point to combat it with. I'm guessing.
I already told you the fighters you named, they could have easily been undisputed. What
was stopping the other fights? What was stopping the other fights? Lack of interest, buddy. That's not nobody's fault. No one wanted to see the fights.
It was always the money.
Exactly. That's what I said. Bottom line, it was money. It wasn't because the promotional companies didn't want them to happen. Who was going to pay for the events?
Exactly. No one. But then who paid Saudi? And that's why they say it's boxing.
No, you generate money, you call shots. That simple. If B-Ball wants $1 million and Bateria wants $1 million and no one wants to pay them $1 million, then the fight not gonna happen.
Exactly, but when Saudi came in, that changed. That's something they're saving boxing.
Because that's on the other side of the country. Right? Saudi is closer to Europe, so it makes sense for those fights to come over there. Plus, they don't care to make money, brother. They weren't even, look, this is where you're missing the point completely. You think what you're saying is hitting a mark, but it's not. They had to take those fights over there because they wouldn't have made money over here, man. That's it.
Why is the location an issue? That shit
It's not an issue. It's not an issue. But
Then
those
why
fights
is
you wanted would have never happened in America because nobody would have gave a fuck to pay
At
for
least
them
we're
here, man.
still
That's
seeing
it.
the fights. We finally got an undisputed light heavyweight champion. That would have never happened. And then we got a
Last
champion,
final points.
undisputed champion in the heavyweight division. Like,
Final points, guys. Anything else?
Yeah, I made mine.
yeah, man, me too. I'm just saying pretty much that, yeah, Saudi have saved boxing. But no, I understand what he's trying to say as well. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Hey, guys. Round 1 comes to a close. All 3 judges send me your score total as soon as you guys can, either on X message or direct message, either or, just as soon as you can for me to see it. Round number 2, the prompt. Is defensive boxing unfairly labeled as boring in an era that rewards knockouts and viral moments? So I'll repeat that one more time because it's a little bit long. Is defensive boxing unfairly labeled as boring in an era that rewards knockouts and viral moments? Home of boxing, you begin uninterrupted. Go ahead, brother.
Oh yes, defensive boxing is unfairly labeled as boring in an era that rewards knockouts and viral moments. Casual fans often toss around that criticism when boxers employ smart defense, but true boxing fans recognize it as a trait of mastery. Boxing is about the sweet science for a reason. It's about strategy, not just spectacle. We all love those highlight reel moments, but appreciating a fighter who can hit without getting hit, that's where the real talent shines. Defensive mastery is a rare skill that demands ring IQ, footwork, and timing. That's qualities many overlook. We all crave those explosive highlights, yet appreciating a fighter who can hit without getting hit requires a deeper understanding. It's a rare skill that elevates the sport. Shakur Stevenson's win over Teofimo Lopez. For the first time, many casual and media outlets admitted it wasn't a boring performance, largely because of the high caliber opponent. This inconsistency reveals the biased defensive boxers are penalized for avoiding reckless brawls or failing to deliver knockouts, even when they're dominating rounds convincingly. Defensive mastery is an art form. Floyd Mayweather demonstrated this, retiring undefeated as 50-0 as a defensive great. Critics called him boring, yet he outclassed aggressive stars like Manny Pacquiao and Canelo Alvarez, proving defense wins championships. Countless fighters attempt to emulate his style, but few succeed, which is why it's rare in modern boxing. In a sport that demands both offense and defense, why should we undervalue the intelligence that keeps athletes safe and victorious? Avoiding the brain trauma, which I would say is worth celebrating in a sport where health is paramount. Defensive boxing isn't boring, it's an elite craftsmanship unfairly overshadowed by knockout culture. And by appreciating, we honor the sport of boxing, and the defensive style is unfairly labeled as boring.
Quick thing. From what I'm seeing, there may have been a little bit of a miscommunication on this issue that Remy messaged about in the chat, where I believe what it was is that you were supposed to argue. You put no, but you're arguing for it. Like you're arguing that it isn't. Like I don't know how to describe it, but basically it's like a reverse argument. The prompt is defensive boxing unfairly labeled as boring in an era that rewards knockouts and viral moments? So naturally, you would be saying no, it's not unfairly labeled as boring, but you're arguing that it should be. It should get more credit than it is. You know what I'm trying to say? Do you guys kind of understand what I'm trying to say, Remy? I want to.
Yeah, because this was the argument. I prepared my argument how he did, because when I read the message, I was under the impression that no meant that he'd be arguing against that, because that's what I took. That that makes sense. It lines up with it. The way you worded it, him saying no meant he didn't think it was unfair.
Yeah. So what we could do, if we can either just use the tiebreaker instead of this round, or we can that's what we could do, honestly. And if it ends up being a draw, we'll just have Homa Boxing argue. We'll have Homa Boxing argue no, even though he thinks yes, if we have to do it. But we'll just skip this prompt and we'll move to a different prompt because there's a miscommunication. We're going to use our tiebreaker instead, and if it ends up being a draw, we'll bring this prompt back and we'll make it work. So we're going to skip this one. Everyone disregard all that. The next prompt that we're going to move on to instead, which is also one of our prompts, let's make sure we both have the right stance on it. It is, are multi-division champions overrated because of modern weight draining and rehydration tactics? Homa Boxing, you go first. Are multi-division champions overrated because of modern weight draining and rehydration tactics?
Okay, no, multi-division champions are now overrated because of modern weight training and rehydration tactics. In fact, these practices showed how skilled and resilient these fighters truly are. To dominate across weight classes, a boxer must win not one, but two battles: the grueling fight on the scale and the showdown in the ring. These demands are exceptional mental and physical strength, far beyond what most athletes can handle. If weight cutting made multi-division success overrated or easy, every boxer would chase it. But reality tells a whole different story. Only a select few elite fighters can pull it off without compromising their performance. Take Richard Richardson as a recent example. He endured a brutal weight cut that left him unable to step into the ring, proving that not everyone has the physical strength to succeed. Yet those who do manage it often thrive, adapting to heavier opponents while maintaining their speed, power, and technique from lower divisions. This isn't overrated. It's a testament to raw talent and strategic mastery. Critics might argue that extreme rehydration gives an unfair edge, but that ignores the risk. Dehydration can impair reflexes, stamina, and recovery, potentially hindering performance rather than helping it. Fighters who overcome these hurdles and still claim titles in multiple divisions, they demonstrate superior skill, not overrated hype. Look at Manny Pacquiao, an 8 division world champion. His career is legendary and rare because it's not luck or fantasy. It's a result of unprecedented dedication and ability. If we're overrated, we see dozens of boxers in the same elite club. Instead, multi-division champions like him stand out as boxing true greats, earning every bit of the status of greatness. So no, I don't believe multi-division champions are overrated. It takes a special fighter to be able to succeed and become a multi-division champ.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Remy, your stance, uninterrupted. Are multi-division champions overrated because of modern weight training and rehydration tactics? Uninterrupted. Begin.
They can be. I mean, if this is the case, I don't got to go into no deep dive on the stats. None of this. What is the main thing we hear fighters moving up to new weight divisions based on? The dreaded 2 words. I was drained. I'm drained. Drain. We hearing it everywhere. All these fighters saying they're drained. Well, if you're drained, how about you fight at a weight class more comfortable for your body instead of trying to get an advantage over smaller guys? Because at the end of the day, you can say what you want. Yes, I respect multiple division champs because there are guys who are a couple pounds off from whatever weights they started. They may be fighting at 126 and at 130 or whatever the case may be. And those guys moving up in class or maybe shedding from 140 to get to those weight, it makes sense because they're already kind of in the ballpark and they can top out of the weight class around their natural weight. But then you got guys who are walking around at 180 fighting at 154, 190, 200 pounds fighting at 68, 70. Like, no, bro, that is not how that should be going. And even more so, if you're going to do that, I don't want to hear anything you're complaining about because it's a double-edged sword for you and your opponent. You can come in and you can feel healthy and you can feel better than them and you can take better punches than them, or you can go in there feeling dry. But I don't want to hear you complaining about when you're dry because it worked against your favor this time. A lot of fighters are cutting too much weight. They shouldn't be in the weight classes. So of course some of it is overrated. It's anecdotal, but I'd lean more that it's overrated than anything because if you got guys that are 6 foot, but they have the body composition to cut down to certain weights, they have so many physical advantages. It's to act like it's not a thing. It's crazy. Plus you couple that with boxing skill and having the skill set to match up with these smaller men. Like, no, man, that's no.
All right, thank you. Much appreciated. Now, back and forth conversation. Home of boxing, you go first. Are multi-division champions overrated because of modern weight training and rehydration tactics? Begin.
Yeah, no, they are overrated and or they're not overrated. And I don't know why Remy's saying that. He's just saying fighters, but he can't really name which fighters. If it was overrated, Crawford's win over Canelo would be overrated. But that cemented him in the all-time greats. That would have never happened if he didn't move up to face Canelo. So I don't know where he's getting this overrated from. That's not overrated. He was saying it's gonna give a unfair edge, but how I was saying it impairs reflexes, stamina, and recovery. So at the end of the day, it could also be not a good thing. We saw Virgil Ortiz.
No. Exactly. Virgil Ortiz almost died. He got rammed.
And that's what I'm trying to say.
Virgil almost died. That's what I'm saying. Like, why would a guy who's
multi-division champions are not overrated
making the weight stick around the weight class? You shouldn't be there in the first place. If you're doing too much cutting where you have to sit in the sauna all week, if you have to cover yourself with 40 covers and can't eat a peanut to make the weight, you shouldn't be fighting at the weight, brother.
Yeah, exactly.
So going through weight classes, doing stuff like that, that's more respectable than a guy that's actually smaller, going through the weight classes, winning without having to do that.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. If that proves my point, it's not overrated. If fighters are able to move in different weight divisions, that's not overrated.
No, it's most definitely overrated. It's most definitely overrated.
Manny Pacquiao, that's overrated. No one has ever done that.
It's context. The context matters. The context matters. When you got smaller guys like Manny Pacquiao actually moving through the divisions and they're really smaller guys. That's what I appreciate. But if you got a dude who's really supposed to be fighting at light heavyweight, fighting at welterweight, then it's overrated.
Yeah, but we don't really see that too often. You
We
can't
do
even
see
name
that a
the
lot.
fighter.
We see that a lot.
You're not even naming fighters.
Respectfully, I can think of a bunch of the younger fighters now. For instance, let's talk about it. Ryan
Yeah,
Garcia.
example.
Why did he's been professional for what, 9 years? Maybe longer, maybe a tad longer. He's been professional 8 or 9, something like that. And he just won his first belt in his 3rd weight class. Like, what are we talking about? He should have been fighting at 140 from the beginning of his career. Maybe he would have been a 2-division champion
So you're
already.
saying that's
This
overrated?
kid
That's not
is having
overrated.
his weigh-ins switched week of fights.
And that's
You having guys,
that's overrated.
and then
That's
Richardson
talent.
Hitchens was suffering from why are you sticking around at the weight? That's what I'm saying. These guys will stick around certain weights where they feel like they have an advantage. So when
Yeah.
they do move up and finally
But-
win
but
another belt,
that
now
just
it's
shows
actually impressive.
it's
And maybe
not
now if you go
overrated
to
if fighters
your
could
real
do
weight
that.
class, now it's actually impressive instead of being overrated because you know you have an advantage.
That just shows it's impressive. Not every fighter could succeed. You just said it right now. Richard Hitcherson, he can't succeed. He failed. So he should just move up. He's not gonna get that status because he just couldn't do it. He did not have the physical strength. So it's not. It's not overrated. If it was overrated, then it would be the opposite.
No, man. It's overrated in many cases. As anecdotal as it is, it's a lot of cases where guys are doing that because they need the advantage, and a lot of other or maybe it's opportunities
And
at
you're
the
just
lower
saying
weights.
guys.
I
You're
guess,
not even
but
naming
yes,
the
it can be
guys.
very, very overrated.
I gave out examples. You're not even giving out names. You're just saying fighters.
I don't need ChatGPT, brother.
And that's all my. It's just for my mind, man. I've been paying attention to boxing for 2, 3, 4 years, like for real now. It's been happening. These
Final
questions
point.
just need a year.
There's
boxing
multiple
knowledge.
fighters. There's multiple fighters who are coming down, going through weight classes. And when they finally get to their real weight classes, they say they feel their best. That's enough for me to know that a lot of them are doing something that it's not really, they're hitting licks, bro.
But I see what you're trying to do. You gotta make it sound like you're correct. So that's why I see what you're doing. But you know what I mean. Yet it's not overrated. And same with the
No,
first
I don't know
question.
what you mean, bro.
You
I
over
don't know
here
what you
already,
mean, bro.
apologizing or something like, bro, you're good, man. No reason to apologize if you for real believe in that, but you don't believe in that. So that's what I mean.
All right,
bro.
judges, send your scorecard for round number 2. Round number 2 comes to a close pretty much. Thank you, guys. We're going to head into round number 3. So all 3 judges send me your score total for that round. Thank you, guys. All right, round number 3. The prompt. At the elite level, does ring IQ ultimately matter more than raw athleticism? So actually, just to make sure so there's no interruptions, Remy and HOB, I just want to hear before you guys even debate, what's your stance in the prompt before anything? At the elite level, does ring IQ ultimately matter more than raw athleticism? Homo Boxing and Remy, what's your stance?
Oh, I said, yes, it does ultimately matter.
And Remy, what's your stance?
Repeat it again. You said boxing over athleticism, elite boxing IQ over athleticism.
At the elite level, does ring IQ ultimately matter more than raw athleticism?
And he said yes.
Yeah.
Did he say that in the chat though?
I had a feeling you guys would not have disagreed on this prompt.
Yeah, I thought you had to always put yes or no.
Yeah, I put no.
Questions. I actually did it for all of them. He just picked like 3, and that's when I knew it was gonna be a good one with Remy. He's with it. He's with it.
So you guys both have the same stance on this prompt as well?
Yeah, we did on this one.
Yeah, see, but that's why next time.
But I can argue opposite, bro. It doesn't matter. I'll argue.
That sounds perfect.
Sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure.
He's good at it, to be honest. So.
If you're 100% sure, then I guess we'll do that then. All right. At the elite level, does ring IQ ultimately matter more than raw athleticism? Remy, uninterrupted. Begin, bro.
You can have all the ring IQ in the world, but if your chin isn't there, then you're done, brother. And I hate to use this example, but we've seen elite fighters. We've seen fighters with great IQs get suckered into fights. So when you fight an athletic guy with blinding speed, for instance, you could look at Ryan Garcia. When you fight guys like him, sometimes your IQ gets thrown out the window and you're not able to even enact your game plan because the raw traits that you're seeing in your face, the raw physical traits are overwhelming. How many times has Deontay Wilder threw the most winged right hand that came from the most ridiculous angle in history of boxing angles, and it lands and it's over with, and he just knocked out a fighter who has a world of more experience than him, much better fighters. Guys like Rolly Romero, you got guys who come into boxing very late and they are able to succeed off raw athleticism. At the elite level, IQ does sometimes, overtake all of that. You look at guys like Floyd Mayweather, he was able to overcome all types of stars. Yes, I get that. But those guys are anomaly. There's very few. If you look in boxing, there's very few guys with elite IQ. You have guys like B-Ball. You have guys like Usyk. You got Shakur. You might got one in every weight class. So more than not, what does that mean? That means the athleticism is being used to fucking make careers. Athleticism, power, strength. Those are the traits that get fans. Those are the traits that can take you as far as possible. But yes, on the elite level, there are times where IQ can take you out. But a lot of these guys with IQ have to have chins. They have to have some sort of things to keep these guys off them. So at times, it's not fucking a factor at all.
Thank you for that. Much appreciated. Home of Boxing, uninterrupted. At the elite level, does ring IQ ultimately matter more than raw athleticism? Begin.
Yeah, I say at the elite level, ring IQ does ultimately matter more than raw athleticism. We saw true greatness demands ring IQ to overcome physical edges. In the heavyweight division, where size and athleticism often reign supreme, we saw Tyson Fury. He was praised for his mobility at 6'9", but Alexander Usyk, who Fury called a middleweight, he used superior ring IQ to outmaneuver him twice. Usyk solidified his undisputed crown. He beat Anthony Joshua twice, another athletic boxer. He used strategic pressure and angles in these matchups, showing why IQ consistently prevails raw athleticism. This theme is displayed across boxing's pound-per-pound elite. The current top 4 pound-for-pound rankings, Alexander Usyk, Naoya Inoue, Shakur Stevenson, and Jesse Bam Rodriguez, all feature undersized boxers who prevailed when they moved up through ring IQ. So Shakur Stevenson dismantled Teofimo Lopez in the super lightweight showdown. He used elite defensive IQ, precision counters, and footwork. And Teofimo Lopez didn't even win a single round. Another pound-for-pound fighter in Naoya Inoue, he ascended 4 divisions as a smaller fighter, relying on tactical brilliance to dethrone bigger champions. Jesse Bam Rodriguez, another top pound-for-pound fighter, mirrors this trend as well, unifying super flyweight belts as an undersized challenger. Even Terence Crawford masterclass against Canelo Alvarez demonstrates ring IQ superior. He jumped 2 weights to face the super middleweight powerhouse in Canelo, and then Crawford switched hitting IQ and timing, stripped Canelo off all his belts, becoming an undisputed champion in the third weight division. And all these fighters use calculated aggression to exploit gaps against naturally larger athletes. These pound-per-pound fighters demonstrate how far raw athleticism will get you, while ring IQ will always seem to prevail. In elite boxing, raw athleticism gets you far in boxing, or ring IQ wins the fight. It's the ultimate edge. History proves it, and so does the pound-per-pound rankings. IQ isn't just important, it's what needed to be part of the pound-per-pound greatness.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Now, back and forth conversation. Remy, you begin. At the elite level, does ring IQ ultimately matter more than raw athleticism? Go ahead, guys.
Home of Boxing, bro. Just like let's go off script with me for a second. Like let's go mano a mano here. No stats, no nothing. I want
it's good, bro.
You tell me what you
you're
think.
able to have notes, so you're making it seem like just
that's
because you
absolute
didn't get
bullshit.
prepared and write down notes, like don't
That's
try to.
fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
I have no problem with that.
I
That's
just
you
wrote down
being
notes,
prepared.
man.
Don't be
It's my
offended
bad
by
that I'm
being
writing
prepared.
down notes.
It's nothing to be offended by. I'm saying this. I'm saying let's take it
Next
to.
time I should come, off the top, but it's fine. Right now I've just been writing notes, so I'm not
No,
here
I feel you. That's
I'm
fine.
not
Don't
crazy.
you taking it to heart. Let's talk now. Let's talk. We spent too much time on that. No, so look, for a fact, athleticism had a lot to do with Terence Crawford beating Canelo too, right? They're 2 elite fighters at the top level. Him being more athletic than him also played a huge factor.
What
into why he was
about
able to get out of
what
the way of
about
his
Bam?
punches.
What about Usyk?
What are you talking about? You talking about guys like
What about them?
Usyk,
How are they
he's
able to
more
move
athletic
up?
than Fury. You
How
talking
were
about
they
guys
able to move
like
up?
Shakur. Shakur is more athletic than T.O. as well.
But who has
Mayweather was
who
more
has the better
athletic than a lot of the
IQ?
guys he beat. His
The guys
IQ was
that won.
also a factor, but he was more athletic too. And athleticism versus
Why
IQ.
all the
How
top
many
4
fights
pound
do
for
you think
pound
of in your
fighters?
head where the
Best
athletic guy
IQ.
won? We just witnessed a fight where Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, even though he cheated, we saw a guy who's had historically shown to have a better IQ than Ryan Garcia get suckered into a fight that didn't didn't make the most sense for him, and then he lost because of athleticism. No, bruh. No, bruh.
Didn't you
That
say he cheated?
it's
Like,
very few.
you said he
You have less examples of athleticism. I mean, elite IQ beating athleticism. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of guys who are athletic that beat elite guys with IQ, and that was all they had. Some of them have IQ with no punching power. Have really good IQ, no punching power. You got guys like
Yeah, but the question is at the elite level, does ring IQ ultimately matter more than raw athleticism? And that shows that at the elite level, it does matter. Why are the top 4 pound for pound fighters all fighters that moved up? Because they showed ring IQ won them the fights. So ring IQ at the elite
and
level
they're
is the most
complete
important
fighters.
thing.
To add to that, they're athletic and they have good ring IQ. They're
Yeah,
not
but
just
ring
not
IQ,
just
there's so
boxers.
many more. It's like
Shakur is
Shaquille
the
O'Neal wasn't
only
athletic.
pure boxer in
Tyson
the top
Fury
3
wasn't
pound for
athletic.
pound. B-ball, if you have B-ball in your top
Any of
3,
Bam's
maybe,
opponents
but
were
they're
athletic.
not pure boxers. They're complete fighters. Inoue is a complete fighter. Usyk is a complete fighter.
Yes, and what makes it
They're
complete is
complete
the
fighters.
IQ.
They're
Not a
not
lot of
boxers.
fighters have that. They have everything else, but they do not have the IQ. Those fighters that I named in the top 4 have the IQ. That's why they're
They
there.
have IQ, but
If it
that's
was
not
the
all
other
they
way
have.
around,
They can do
it would
everything. So
be
if someone can do everything,
only
then you
raw
can't just say they're
athleticism
a
people
boxer.
on the top. But clearly it's IQ people at the top.
There's
So ring IQ,
archetypes for fighters. There's archetypes for fighters. You have the counter puncher, the boxer puncher, the brawler, the inside fighter, the outside fighter. They're all archetypes, bro. All those archetypes in the top 5 are complete archetypes for the most part. It's
yes,
only
but the
one guy in
IQ is
that
the
top
main
5
thing
who's
that helps them
considered
win.
strictly a boxer, and that's Shakur Stevenson. Argue with
The
me about that.
IQ is the main reason why they're able to do all those things. None of those things would be possible if they
They
didn't
have
have that.
elite IQ with the athleticism and physical ability to enact those things.
Yes,
And when you can't, then
that's the
you
reason
lose.
why they
You can have
win.
elite
Right.
IQ, but if the athleticism isn't remotely near it, it won't work. It won't matter. There's plenty of fighters with great IQ, but they can't do anything else. Like they can't use their IQ. They don't know. They can't physically enact
Which
their IQ.
fighters?
That's why they
Name
turn into
them.
coaches and trainers.
Which fighters?
You can think of a bunch of them. Guys like how well did Robert Garcia do on the championship level? He did really good,
You're
but
talking
there was
about
a
like
certain level he got to
fighters
where
from
guys were
like
bigger
years
than him,
ago,
more
man.
athletic than
You're
him,
not even
and he
naming
was
a
able
fighter
to
from
take that
this
same
year.
knowledge and
Did you
go
say
and train
Robert
and be
Garcia,
better.
the trainer?
A great trainer, yes.
Yes, he's a great trainer, but I'm talking about recent example. You're naming me from 15 years ago.
You said an example. Now you're trying to pigeonhole my
Oh,
example.
nah,
What are
you're
we
right.
doing?
That's true, but I'm just naming recent
No, I
examples.
gave
So
you an
I was
example.
thinking the
Accept
same
it and
thing.
let's move on.
But you only gave one though. You like to use the word
You asked for
fighters a
one, I
lot.
gave you
just
one. You
name
didn't
one
say you
fighter.
wanted 2. What are we doing here?
No, I just name a decent amount, so that's why
I'm
I'm
just
giving
saying you asked
fighters
for an
that
example. I gave you
actually
one. Now you're asking for
have
another one. What are we doing?
low-rated IQ.
You putting time limits on it? You talking about 15 years ago? Like, what are we doing, man? Come on.
All right, final points, guys, if any.
No, I made mine, bro. I made
Yeah,
mine.
no, that's all I had to say.
All right. Great round once again, guys. You guys are hilarious. Judges, send me your scorecards, please. Much appreciated. We're gonna
Max, you funny, bro.
I'm cracking up during the entire little back and forth you guys are having. It's great. Thank you, judges, for sending. Much appreciated. We're gonna head into round number 4. First time I've had to use the tiebreaker, but it's understandable. There's a little technicality. If it ends up being a tie, then we're gonna go back to the prompt that we had the initial issue with, and Homa Boxing will actually have to argue against his initial take the same way Remy did if we need to. But this is the round that was initially the tiebreaker that we're gonna be using. The prompt is boxing better with rival promoters or one central authority? So before we debate, both of you, what's your stance at is boxing better with rival promoters or one central authority?
Rival promoters.
Homa
Oh
Boxing?
yeah, I said one central authority.
Thank Josh. Okay, so we'll do Homa Boxing uninterrupted. You go first. Is boxing better with rival promoters or one central authority? Begin.
Yeah. So boxing is better with one central authority. Due to that, we're able to get fights finalized, and we'll have promoters stopping fights from happening due to the unfair demands they are asking. When it comes to rival promoters, they decide not to work with one another, as we've seen with Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. They never like to work together until one central authority in Turkey, Alex Sheik. He came in the picture, and suddenly all that A side and B side and the rivalry from promoters went away. The rival promoters realized they have to start working together if they both want to benefit, which showed one central authority helps elevate boxing. Instead of rival promoters keeping fights in-house and making it possible to ever work with one another because of the crazy demands they're asking to get the fights across the finish line, It just slows down the sport. As we've seen, it's been uplifted, and promoters are now pressured to work with one another. Now we're seeing Golden Boy work with every promotion and Top Rank as well, allowing their fighters to go fight on other promotions. Before that, that would never be the case. Promoters would always try to keep it in their promotions, but promoters realize they'll end up falling off or being unknown. So boxing is better than one central authority, stops all the in-house fights, but as long as all promotions work together instead of being rivals, they can make it work out. So I believe one central authority is better for boxing than rival promotions.
Much appreciated. Thank you for that. Now we're going to do uninterrupted for Remy. Is boxing better for rival promoters or one central authority? Go ahead, brother.
I'll just say this. I think that people who think that one central authority is okay for anything are ripe to be slaves. I think that the type of mentality it takes to think that one authority should run anything is crazy. No one man should have all that power, as Kanye said. And I think it's very delusional to think that they just magically made boxing so much better. I feel like people were bombarded with the boxing media intelligentsia gatekeeping BS for so many years. How boxing's dead, no one wants to fight each other. We had a dry spell for a few years that everybody prolonged in their minds as though it's happening still to this day. Boxing was doing well right when Turkey got into it. It wasn't dead. It wasn't so effed up or anything because Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence got made without him. A lot of fights got made without him pre that. Deontay Wilder and Fury got made without him. What it was always about was the money. Do these guys bring enough money? Do they generate enough money? And all promoters are going to use their fighter being the A side to their advantage. That is basic business. And when fans try to argue about stuff like that, it's just them being catty, if you ask me. People being catty and not understanding the dynamics of how fights are built. People have to be marketed properly to their niche audiences. People have to actually be brought up in the sport of boxing properly. Everybody loves to say, everybody wants to be the macho machismo boxing fan. Oh, I want this. I want this now. This happens now, or you're not this, or da-da-da. But instead of, you've been watching this sport for so long, you see how it works, but you're still denying the basics of it. These fights need to get built up. Saudi has definitely injected money into the sport, and it's always great to have more competition. But when they're rivals, it is always free game for the fighters. And that's what I want, free market. The fighters get to choose who they want to be with. No one wants to have to go through one promoter, because then that's how people get blackballed, and that's how it's only one door to go through. No, that's not good for boxing at all. And then it's funny how people make the argument that, Al Heyman and Oscar and Bob were doing all this crazy stuff. And then when someone actually comes to try to take over the sport and make one central authority, it's okay now. They're happy about it. I don't know. That's crazy to me.
All right, much appreciated. Thank you for that once again. Back and forth conversation. Homa Boxing will have you go first, but you guys going back and forth is normal. Is boxing better for rival promoters or one central authority? Begin.
No, yeah, I see what you're trying to say. I kind of agree with you, but I just because the question says rival promoters. So if it was like friendly promoters, then I would be like, oh, friendly promoters all day. But rival promoters, that means they're going to keep fights in-house. They're not going to want to make the fights happen with one another. So that's why I put one central authority. I'll assume with one central authority, that would change.
HOB, bro.
Fights
I don't want you. Look, say we're in business in the same field. I don't want you to make more money than me, bro. I'm sorry. Like, that's just not what I want. I don't want you to make more money than me. I don't want you doing better.
We could still be, friendly, but they're being rival promoters, which means they're not going to work together,
No, they're just fighting for leverage. They're just vying for leverage. That's it. They're fighting for leverage.
That's why fights don't happen. That's why we never got the fights that I was naming in the beginning.
No, that's because instead of promoting the fights, in another manner, we're all cogs in the wheel here, brother. The media, the fans, the fighters, the promoters, we all have an onus to the sport, and we all have a function in the sport. The media has to convey the information to the casuals in a way that's palatable for them to feel like they're invested in something that matters. As soon as you got guys, and I don't want to throw these guys' names, some of these guys still have jobs in boxing, and they blackball people. But a lot of these guys were being paid to disrespect certain promoters. So that's what the issue was. The promoters were mud bashing each other. And then it's funny because the same accusations that some of these promoters were getting in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, we have someone enacting all this stuff right in our face, and everyone's clapping. So what the real problem is The fighters need agency. That's what I want. The fighters need agency, and rival promoters bring that. One central authority makes it like the UFC, and boxing will never benefit from being like UFC. Period.
No, yeah, no, I see what you're trying to say, but nah, it's because I just went with like what I felt was better because the question said rival promotions, and we saw what happened before there was any like Saudi money. There was never any fights happening because they try to keep it in house. So that's why I felt like
That's hyperbole to me.
promotion
To
would
me,
be
that's
good.
like pure hyperbole. Like, yeah, there was a time period where this is what I'll say. I thought it was a time period where we were getting too many pay-per-views. We were getting way too many pay-per-views. I don't want to see Charles Martin on my pay-per-view card against anyone. I think it was Luis Ortiz at that or something like that. I don't want to see that on my TV at all.
Yeah,
But
and then where would that be just on the same
Like I said,
platform, same fighters? They wouldn't ever get a different fighter from a different
there were
platform.
fights happening. There were fights happening. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like boxing fans are like them spoiled, that spoiled kid or that woman that's always got you chasing something. You do one
Yeah,
thing and then
and
it's
that
another
was
thing you got to
that.
do.
We
You do
didn't
one
feel
thing,
that
it's another thing
for
you
a
got to do. You do
while
one thing, it's
until
another thing you
Saudi
got to do.
came in the picture. But this is a different question. But it's pretty much almost the same question as the other one. But yeah.
All right, sounds like you guys are pretty much done with this prompt as well. So, judges, send me your score totals for round number 4, and I'll be able to announce the outcome for this. So, all 3 judges, please send it. Thank you both, fellas, so much for
No, this was
debate.
fun, bro. This was fun.
Yes, sir. I enjoyed hearing all of you guys.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, this was good. Appreciate you guys.
HOB, I tried to argue with you a little bit, bro. No offense. I just wanted to make this.
No, you're good, man. I just, I wasn't even prepared for all of this, to be honest. So I just kind of, but no, I kind of realized this is what happens in these debates. So that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, I came in expecting to get punched in the face, bro. So I was just like,
Yeah,
I
no,
knew
for
you was
sure.
gonna have your shit together.
I just didn't really feel like that, I guess, today. That I probably should have felt like that.
Yeah, I'm just getting the scorecards right now. I got 1, 2. Just need one more score. Saint Lloyd Sports. I need you to send it. There we go.
Hey, but also all those questions, you did pick them. You picked pretty much all 3. So, at the end of the day, it was kind of hard on my end.
I'm gonna be real with you, HOB.
I had to be ready for it though.
I didn't have to study for none of that because I was like, I've argued about all that stuff a trillion times, bro. I'm not gonna lie, like I've argued about everything Max put in there pretty much.
No,
bro.
that's what I'm saying, but I saw you pick like those 3 specifically, and we got those right now, so hopefully at least I won one.
Nah, HOB, I feel like me and you would I feel like that would make for the best conversations for us. Not more so like, remember what I text you in the group? I just felt like it would be the stuff. I thought it was like hot topics. You feel me?
Yeah, no, for sure. But I didn't back down, so I'm glad that that's why I had to get my notes ready. But hopefully,
good. Let me know when you guys are ready because I have the outcome. So let's do it now. First score total: Adams Boxing Show scores about 39 to 37. Billionaire Boxing TV scores about 40 to 37, and Saint scores about 40 to 36. For your winner by unanimous decision, WSB Remy gets the job done by unanimous decision. Congratulations, my friend. You advanced to the finals.
I'm in the championships. Let's go. Cigar talking this motherfucker.
Thank you so much, Homa Boxing. Before I get the judges quickly making their takes, Homa Boxing, if you want to just quickly have a minute to talk really quickly before you wrap up, and then I'll have Remy make his little chat as well. So go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, hello. I appreciate you guys. I'm glad that I was a part of this, and at least I made it against a tougher competitor like Remy. And yeah, no, this was a good debate, and I'll be definitely more than happy to be in the other ones, and I'll for sure try to be even more prepared.
Always appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for stepping in.
I thought you clipped me on a couple of them subjects, bro. I had to like reel it in and figure out a way to go back against you like a couple times. I had to rewire what I was on.
No, yeah, no, for sure, man. Good stuff. You were a tough competitor for sure. When we started, I was like, damn, it's gonna be some tough work for sure. So yeah, no, good stuff, guys.
Thank you, my friend. Really appreciate everything, man.
GG's, bro.
Yeah,
GG's,
brother. We'll talk soon, brother. All right, Remy, congratulations, brother. You get the job done by UD. You look really sharp out there. You have a strong mouthpiece, that's for sure. And you advanced to the finals. How you feeling, brother? Wishing you the debate and the next week you have as well.
Hey, I appreciate that compliment, bro. Like, y'all, I really appreciate it. This is me personally getting into this. So I'm really still getting my feet in the pool, and I'm trying to make sure I hit stuff that I feel like y'all as judges would appreciate. So I'm glad that it worked. I'm glad I got the win, and I'm ready for the finals. And I know I got some smoke in the finals.
We can't wait. We can't. What do you think? Right before I ask the judges, what do you think about this matchup coming up, JJ and Blunts, man?
Come on, man. Like I'm really competitive, bro. I'm like extremely competitive, bro. Just like in my nature as a person. So I'm like super. I've been like I told you when it started before we even got live. I said I'm looking at this matchup, like I'm watching them, like for sure.
Cannot wait, brother. We'll see you very soon. Thank you so much, and great performance today, brother.
Thank y'all, and thank y'all to the judges too, man. Salute
Sure.
y'all. Shout
Yes,
out to
sir,
everybody's platform. Cigar Talk in the building, man.
Salute, brother. Great work, man. We'll talk
Sure.
about it, brother. All right, judges. Let's get your intake as well. Billions, can you hear me, brother? Am I coming through? And what did you think about those debates?
I can hear you. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, so bro, that was a tough debate. I'm not gonna lie, bro. All 4 rounds. I think the first round, I mean, I'm gonna just say they were all pretty much kind of the same for me. I loved a lot of how boxing HOB's initial arguments, but man, like those last 3 rounds, he just let Remy beat him down in the back and forth, man. Like it got real ugly out there. Like it was like he came out there styling on him, but in the championship rounds, he just got beat down, man. So it was a great debate though. How HOB, man, you got some skills though, bro, for sure.
Respect, brother. I'm really glad we got to do it. And Billions, thank you for your intake. You've got a very tough one to score coming up. So you're gonna have to be prepared for that. You went against both of them. So you know that this one's gonna be a firefight.
Man.
Yes, sir, bro. We can't wait to hear your thoughts on that one, brother. So thank you, brother, and we'll talk very soon.
Sure.
Hey, hey, Adams, bro. Y'all send me Jermaine send me y'all Wayne and Jermaine. Y'all send me y'all number, bro, in the DMs.
Oh, got you. I definitely will. I'm gonna do that right now.
Adams, what'd you think of that debate as well, my friend? You
man.
had it 39-37 for Remy. What'd you think?
That was a good one, man. I did give HOB the first one, then Remy closed out strong in them last 3, and I believe he had to change his stance on one of them. I guess he had to argue the
That's
negative.
crazy.
Yeah,
That was
was impressive.
They still won. You won that round on all 3 judges' scores, by the way. Which
Hey, see, bro, I was praying that. I was like that I needed that ego boost, bro. That
was pretty clean. I'm not gonna lie. Continue, Adams.
Nah, man, that was very impressive. That he had to switch his whole thing. Like, man, I don't know if I would been able to do that, man, but that was very impressive, dog. I gotta give him credit on that one. For sure.
Much appreciated. Yeah, we can't wait to have you score the next one. As I told our last judge, Billions, you're gonna have to be very prepared for this next one because this one's gonna be a very competitive back and forth. So be prepared, my friend. But thank you so much. And we'll talk in the next few minutes or so. All right, Saints. Thank you so much for helping us as well, brother. I don't know if you can hear me if I'm coming through for you. You had a 40-36 for Remy. What'd you think of that debate, man?
Yeah, great debate. Just to piggyback off Billionaire. Salute to the judges again. Hell of a debate, man. All 4 rounds. You know, we had a little bit of a hiccup with the prompt, but I'm glad that you fixed that. And man, I gotta say, the questions, I don't know how you come up with them. Great, man. Great, like questions.
Lloyd, I told him, bro, before when he sent him, Lloyd, I swear to God, that's the first thing I said to him.
Yeah,
man. Salute. So round 1, I kind of sent you a bit what I wanted to say. I won't say it all, but I just felt like off the start, Remy was very informative. And he explained how Saudi appeared on the scene, which was something interesting to hear. Gave great details to it. HOB, man, the Josh Taylor comment, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, saying saying he was not on their level or not elite at a certain point. I just disagree on that sentiment. So that was round 1. Round 2, gave the Remy as well. He made great points about the fighters and their episodes that they have during with weight issues and their conditions. It was hard to score that one because I actually believe it's not overrated. Because if you can make the weight, you fighting, you really worked to get there, and you just got to deal with it. It's been like that. But his points made way much more sense than HOB, and so I gave him that round as well, even though I disagree with the overrated per se. Then round 3, I gave that to Remy as well. I feel like he won the exchanges with great points, initiating the action. And then round 4, I gave it to Remy as well. Rival promoters is the way to go. We just need to hold them more accountable for making cross-promotion fights. In-house fights have value. HOB just threw me off when he said we shouldn't have them or something along those lines. No. We should have in-house fights. They have value. We just need to hold them accountable of making cross-promotional fights, which is what we like and want to see, right?
Facts, Lloyd. Facts, bro. Facts.
And so that's how I scored it. All Remy, man. It was
Great
just clean
assessment.
sweep. But
Thank you a lot,
salute
bro.
to
No, I
HOB.
could tell you were like really listening to both of us intently. Like you literally covered everything we said in a nutshell. I appreciate that, bro. For real, for real.
Yep, salute.
Saints great, brother. Saints great. Much appreciated, bro. If you can stay a bit longer for this next one as well, it's the final debate.
Yep, I'm here.
appreciate it. Thank you, man. You stepped in and really saved us, bro. Really bailed us out. So I really appreciate you giving your time. I owe you, bro. If I ever we'll talk, bro. Whenever we do have some more business discussion, bro, I definitely owe you. So much appreciated, bro. We'll talk soon, and I'll put you backstage as well, both of you. Final. By the way, Remy, final message, brother, before you wrap up, because we're gonna move on to the next debate.
I'm ready for the finals. I'm super ready for the finals. I'm super grateful to be in this. This was really fun today. I feel like I came in, I jammed my Mobb Deep, bro. Mobb Deep is my favorite group. I jammed that Prodigy today, so I was feeling it, bro. Yeah, bro, and it was like survival of the fittest kept playing in my head. I was listening to that Mobb Deep earlier, bro, and I was so ready, bro. So thank you for having me on. I'm ready for next week, bro, and I'm ready to get the W, bro.
For sure, bro. Much appreciate. You definitely came out with more ferocity than last week, and you did a great job. And we'll see you next week, brother. I can't wait, man. Much appreciated, brother. All right, the final debate of the semifinals. Judges, get ready. We got Blunts Boxing taking on the Spit Bucket Podcast, JJ Solomon. How are both of you fellas feeling? How are both of you guys doing?
I'm feeling good and ready. This is going to be a hell of a debate. I know this.
I'm ready and good. Let's go, man. Let's go.
Here. All right, judges, get ready. We're about to get this beginning. Let me get these prompts, and we'll be getting started. So, the first prompt. Let's hope there's no. I can rely on you guys to make sure that the prompts were accurate, and you guys both disagreed on all 4 of them. Because last one, I don't know if you guys saw, there's a little bit of an issue on the rounds that we have to sort out. But I think this time we should be all set. The first prompt, we'll have Blunts begin. The topic is: are sanctioning bodies the biggest problem in boxing? So Blunts Boxing, uninterrupted. Your stance and your argument: are sanctioning bodies the biggest problem in boxing? Go ahead.
And I said yes, right?
And
Yeah,
JJ, you said no, right?
I said no.
All right, good, perfect.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
let's do this. Okay. So are the sanctioning bodies the biggest problem in boxing? In recency bias, I think it's very obvious that it is. I don't think we've ever seen such travesties pertaining to rankings, who gets to keep their title, who doesn't, who gets sanctioned for a title fight, who shouldn't, more than we ever have. It's almost like the dirty eye in boxing right now. The fact that, we as fans should feel that when individuals are seeking a title or either maintain a title, that there should be some type of unbias with these sanctioning bodies. And just recently, we had seen, unfortunately, a drug cheat, I'll bring as an example, get 2 title shots in a row. What does that say about the sport of boxing? What does it say about the sanctioning bodies? Recently, we just saw individuals get stripped from his title, even though he was not fighting for that title or in the division that he held that title, because he wouldn't pay a $100,000 sanctioning fee. What does that look for the sport of boxing? What does it look like for the sanctioning bodies? The thing is unfortunately, right now, the sanctioning bodies are hurting the sport of boxing more than ever. And unfortunately, they aren't helping themselves. They constantly are biting themselves in the butt. And we just recently saw it with the IBF. And if rumors are true, they stripped somebody who paid their sanctioning fee up front, and subsequently now looks like as if really just champions and championships no longer really matter in the sport. There's no consistency, and that hurts our sport.
Thank you, my friend. Much appreciated. JJ Solomon, the Spit Bucket, uninterrupted. Are sanctioning bodies the biggest problem in boxing? Begin.
All right, man. So the biggest problem in boxing, the first thing I want to address something you said. You said, I've never seen such a travesty about these sanctioning bodies. And it's like you're forgetting Tank Davis and Lamont Roach. You're forgetting Ismael Barroso and Rolly Romero. Like, those are travesties. Those hurt individuals in the sport. But back to my, let me get back to this. Yes, sanctioning bodies have lots of flaws. Too many belts, sanctioning fees, questionable rankings. We've seen it, stripping fighters, giving other fighters title shots that they don't deserve. But calling them the biggest problem in boxing ignores real issues hurting the sport. Look, man, first off, some of the biggest moments in boxing history, now or the past, are literally celebrations of sanctioning bodies working together, unification fights, undisputed championships. Those are amongst the sport's greatest achievements, man. We saw Bud become undisputed with Errol. That was huge when Inoue going across divisions. These are fans celebrating moments. Ultimate accomplishment in boxing. We all know that. It's undisputed. And it's literally honoring all of the sanctioning bodies. Now, there's real problems in boxing where universally we're never going to compliment. Sometimes we argue about the sanctioning bodies, but sometimes we give them their props. There's a promotional companies delaying fights. There's network fragmentation, spreading over all platforms. Social media, I mean, even media members can't find where to find these fights sometimes, man. There's piracy. How the hell can we ignore piracy? Literally draining the sport from money. And again, robberies that hurt the individuals. So, and I can't find any positive social media tweets about that. I went down your social media. I didn't see anything positive about PEDs. I didn't see anything positive about robberies. I didn't see anything positive about marinating. But literally yesterday, I saw you saying the IBF is consistent. So that's a positive thing. So all I'm trying to say is, if it was truly the worst thing in boxing, we would never celebrate it. There are other things that we don't ever celebrate. Those are truly the bad pieces of boxing.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Back and forth conversation. Blunts, you begin. Are sanctioning bodies the biggest problem in boxing? Go ahead.
So, I'll bring up another example because I had forgot it for a moment in our first piece. But even with PEDs, which you brought up, which is, of course, is a problem in the sport. Sanctioning bodies like the WBC and WBA actually, at one point in time kind of stood up and said, we're going to be against PED usage. But then later it comes out that their say of 365 testing wasn't entirely true. We had one challenger, one champion, both end up coming out and saying my sanctioning body did not actually do drug testing for my fights. And these were big fights in boxing. This was Shockey Foster versus Conceição, the first one, and then it was Zepeda versus Farmer. Farmer came out saying that he didn't even get drug tested.
That problem doesn't exist without the PEDs, though. The PEDs, yeah, that's a huge problem. I'm not disagreeing with that. They need to address it. But the PED is the root problem. So to say, so if it wasn't for the PED and the sanctioning bodies not dismissing that, then we're giving the sanctioning bodies a pat on the back for making that fight to begin with. So yeah, they're not responding to bigger problems the way we'd like to, but to call them the biggest problem is an issue. Bro, trust me, I've been all over social media, all over Mauricio Suleiman. But to say that's the biggest problem, my problem with them is them not responding to the biggest problems the way we'd like to see.
So that's the thing that's my point, is they do try to assume and give the idea to us fans that they truly are out to better the sport, when consistently we see not to happen. For Terrence Crawford, they apparently had stripped him because of unwillingness to pay his sanctioning fee, which their argument was, well, we help old fighters with health issues. Well, Donald Curry famously came out just last year. His family had to beg for assistance from the general public to put him in a home. Where was that money? He was a WBC champion.
I don't
He
disagree.
had to go out there and
with
beg for money. Beg for money.
That's still not the biggest problem in boxing, though, bro. Like, that's not the biggest. If we get together and have fight parties and celebrate undisputed, and you see these fighters bring their 4 belts onto the table, that's not honoring a problem. That's celebrating the sanctioning bodies. And in my opinion, you can't call something the worst if there's times when we celebrate it, when there's other things that we never celebrate, like PED.
So it is a celebration. It is. There's no argument about that, to be able to go undisputed. But how often in the past of the sport did the sanctioning bodies actually bite themselves in the butt to make those fights happen themselves?
That's not what the conversation is.
And that's the thing. The sanctioning bodies are often the reason we see sometimes the most drama and the most inconsistencies pertaining to how fighters should be treated and how actually fighters are even ranked and put in position for title shots. Because we saw Conor Benn put it again, WBC. I mean, God. And we could say the WBA, where their inconsistencies for rankings have positioned fighters who are more favored because of either their promotional contracts or whatever. They were put in position over other people. We've seen Gassiev as the current contender for Rolly Romero's WBA title for how long now? But yet they're going to let that pass because they're given a check.
You're missing that. I'm going to close with this. I did not find one positive tweet about PEDs from you, about robberies from you, about letting fights marinate from you. I saw a lot of shit talking to sanctioning bodies as they deserve, but I saw positive tweets from you about sanctioning bodies. And in my opinion,
the thing is,
you can't call something the worst of the industry when there's times when we celebrate it.
And you know what's ironic, JJ? It sucks because these sanctioning bodies are the ones who are supposedly taking fees out of championship fighters' purses to supposedly fix these problems. But yet for these sanctioning bodies who have now been around for some of them, the NBA, which is now the WBA, over a century, has been taking out sanctionees for that long, and they still haven't fixed these problems. What does that say?
They fix the real problems.
They've never been able to fix any of the real problems, but yet they continue to pull out money and just not treat fighters with bias.
All right. Go ahead. Last point. Yeah.
No, I was just saying there's bigger problems is all I'm saying. I agree with all of it. There's problems, but there are bigger problems. And I will never say sanctioning bodies are the biggest problem in boxing.
Okay. Good to go, guys. Thank you. Judges, send me your scorecards for round number 1. Much appreciated. We're about to move on to round number 2. So, prompt for round number 2. Is inactivity the biggest threat to today's fighters? Uninterrupted Spit Bucket Podcast. Is inactivity the biggest threat to today's fighters? Go ahead.
All right, man. This is kind of similar to my stance to what I just said. Inactivity in boxing is definitely a problem, but calling it the biggest threat to today's fighters misunderstands inactivity completely. Here's why. Inactivity rarely exists on its own. Most of the time, guys, inactivity is a result of deeper structural problems in the sport. Fighters often being tied to different networks, making major fights difficult to negotiate. Promotional politics can drag on the negotiation for months, years. We've seen it while promoters protect their investment. It's their investment. That's a big piece we got to look at. Promotional companies looking at their investment, not their fighters. Injuries during long training camps can delay fights for long periods of time. And the reality is making a fight in boxing requires agreements between promoters, networks, sanctioning bodies, venues, purses. One disagreement stalls everything. Inactivity is not the root problem. It's the symptom. It's the result of those problems. If inactivity were truly the biggest threat, it would be something that creates on its own. But it doesn't. It doesn't exist on its own. It's always tied to something deeper. You take a step back. Like we're talking about, again, it's important to look at the words, the biggest threat. Fighters face way more serious threat. Let's talk about injury or death. Let's talk about PEDs again. That's a huge threat. If you're fighting somebody who's juiced up, piracy, taking money directly from your pocket, and how about bad promoters? How about bad managers that are taking your money? So yes, inactivity, frustrating, a problem, yes, but the biggest threat that a fighter can face, I just listed 4 right off the top of my head that are the biggest threat for that individual. In boxing, the inactivity isn't the disease, it's the symptom.
Thank you, my friend. Much appreciated. Now we're going to have Blunts uninterrupted. Is inactivity the biggest threat to today's fighters? Go ahead.
So for today's fighters and for us as boxing fans, yes, it is. And even though I said sanctioning fees as well, these things go hand in hand. The problem is right now, if you look at it, you look within the top 10, top 15 best fighters in our sport, I'd say 80% of those guys are fighting once a year. Some of the most famous, or we could say famous, are fighting once a year. So how is that good for the sport of boxing? How does that grow the sport of boxing? How does that even maintain the sport of boxing? It's kind of hard. It makes it to where, unfortunately, the casual fan base has separated, has pulled away. In UFC, we're famously seeing their best fighters, their most popular fighters, fight sometimes 3 or 4 times a year. So much so that they're maintaining the popularity of the sport of UFC. While the sport of boxing, our best fighters, our best, Alexander Usyk, fighting once a year. Some of our most popular globally, Canelo Alvarez, Tank Davis, fighting once a year. It's hurting our sport. It's not doing better for our sport. It's actually one of the biggest issues pertaining to not just the fighters, because in order to maintain their popularity, maintain the sport that they supposedly love, it kills the sport.
Got it.
Because you just sit there waiting.
All good. Thank you. So now we're gonna have some back and forth conversation. Thank you for that as well. Is inactivity the biggest threat to today's fighters? You go ahead, JJ, first. Go ahead, back and forth.
Yeah, man. I think we're missing. You make excellent points, as I expected you to, but we're missing the mark here. The topic is a threat to the fighter, not to the industry, not to the fans, not to anything. You brought up the UFC fighting multiple times a year and keeping them active. That's great for the UFC. That's great for their fan base. But the fighter, what does that result to for the fighter? If at the end of their career, they're going to be bugging the hell out of boxers to fight them in the ring. We are talking about the biggest threat to fighters. And you mentioned Canelo. You mentioned Tank. You're talking about the anomalies that are fighting once a year. Those guys are choosing to because they've got millions in the bank. Tank Davis.
No, they're waiting for big paydays.
Well, they're sitting on big paydays.
They're sitting on one big payday a year. One big payday a year.
But that's not a threat to the fighter. How is that a threat?
But it is though, because so JJ, that's the thing is it dwindles the sport that they're in, which in turn dwindles the amount of eyes that watch them.
So tell me how.
That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, but at the end of their career, how is that a threat to them, bro? Like
to the end of their career, it's dwindling. So that's the thing, Terrence. So that's the thing, JJ. That's one of the biggest talking points when equating a fighter's resume. When you look at what they have done in the sport, and these are sometimes things that are done. When you look at it and we equate this person's legacy, and they very much so consider their legacy, it's often brought up. These guys are fighting once a year. And it's really diminishing their legacy within the sport, because what do we often say? The all-time greats that we speak of, like Sugar Ray Robinson, Henry Armstrong, when those guys are brought up, even if we go into the 70s, like Ali, how many times did he defend the undisputed lineal heavyweight championship in a year? 4 times.
This generation isn't going to be able to say that. In 20 years, they're all going to remember this. And Terrence Crawford's choice to fight once a year has solidified him, concreted him into one of the best of all time. The kids today aren't going to be talking about the 4 kings anymore. They're looking at what we have now. And I just want you to
which they rarely see, JJ. Which they rarely see.
Talk to me and the judges how inactivity is the biggest threat.
Because you know what,
individual fighter,
JJ.
How it relates.
I'm going to be real with you. The one thing we can actually see, JJ, is gate. JJ, we can see these fighters that are fighting once a year. We see their gate numbers drop. We see their pay-per-view numbers dwindle. Do you know Canelo Alvarez, because of matchmaking, inactivity, lack of whatever else, what were those Skull numbers?
But how is that his?
So little people actually cared to watch Canelo Alvarez.
Canelo's biggest threat right now would be a Benavidez
Inactivity.
Juiced up and way bigger than him. That's his big injury. Like there's so many bigger threats than inactivity. That's all I'm saying.
And as we had stated earlier, the sanctioning bodies are supposed to keep that from occurring.
Inactivity is not the biggest threat a fighter faces today, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago. Inactivity is a threat, maybe number 6 or 7, but not number 1.
Unlike any time before, JJ, it's unfortunate because I'm sure you and I both been watching the sport forever. Our stars never fought so infrequent. That is a problem. That is a problem for the fighters. That is a genuine problem for their fighters and their legacy long term.
Safety, PEDs, money, those are all bigger threats to the individual
This
fighter.
is boxing. There is no such thing as safety. You are a gladiator. You're putting your life on the line every time you go in there.
Protect yourself at all times. And if that means fighting once a year, that's protecting yourself. That's the number 1 rule in boxing, bro.
And again, unfortunately, you could do that, but you don't do yourself as a boxer pertaining to legacy or even really paydays nowadays. It doesn't help you. It really doesn't.
That's not my biggest threat. I promise.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for that.
Good
Judges,
round, brother.
Great round once again. Judges, send me your score totals. Round number 2 comes to a close. We're going to move on to round number 3. Round number 3's prompt. Who had the better heavyweight peak? Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua? So this is a good one. These are always fun when it's specific like this. We're going to go blunts uninterrupted. Who had the better heavyweight peak? Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua? Begin.
All right. So, in my opinion, Anthony Joshua undoubtedly had the greatest heavyweight peak in boxing pertaining to the two. If you really look at it, and I don't really need to go through the numbers, but pertaining to views, pertaining to popularity, pertaining to what he did for the sport of boxing, brought back heavyweight boxing, his peak was higher. He defeated 3 champions, all 3 champions for belts, to become the unified champion. Ends up being one of the most, I'd probably say, one of the most appreciated heavyweight champions since the 90s. He brought back, I can't say it more, he brought back heavyweight boxing globally to the sport when it had almost looked like it was dying. So to me, when you look at it, what Joshua had done pertaining to, like, again, winning those 3 belts, becoming unified champion, bringing the sport back to its popularity, and not just that, who he had fought. Elite level opposition. Yeah.
Word.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Much appreciated. JJ, uninterrupted. Who had the better heavyweight peak, Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua? Begin.
All right, guys. And for the judges, it doesn't mean who you like more or anything like that. This is just straight peak, guys. Look, Tyson Fury peak looked like a mountain. There was a rise, there was a dominance, and then a gradual decline. Anthony Joshua, while I love the guy, his peak looked more like a damn cliff. He was there. He hit his peak. Once he went over it, he fell off the peak, the cliff, and he never really climbed back. And I'll kind of break that down. Look, when we're talking about a fighter's peak, we're asking just a basic question: whose biggest moment was bigger for the sport? And for me, the answer is clearly Tyson Fury. He dethroned Klitschko before Anthony Joshua did it 2 years later. Excuse me. So he beat a 10-year winning streak when the dynasty was still there intact. But in my opinion, Fury's true peak came during the trilogy with Deontay Wilder. You're talking about two hemispheres in the boxing public, glued to the TVs, glued to the promotion, glued to the hype. And listen, what other peak literally gives you an Undertaker moment, dog? Deontay Wilder had Fury out flat, and we saw Tyson Fury fucking come up from the dead and, like the Undertaker, proceeds to steal his soul for the next 2 fights. Those 3 fights, to me, have everything you wanted. They had drama. They had excuses. They had Undertaker coming back up from the dead. So, yeah, those most fighters are going to stay down. Fury didn't. And after that, man, you look what followed. Yes, Joshua had a tremendous night against Klitschko. Nobody's going to argue that. That uppercut was beautiful. But what followed? The loss to Ruiz, the mental breakdowns in the ring, the knockout against Daniel Dubois, which I'm not taking anything from Dubois, but it just seemed like after Anthony Joshua hit his peak, there was so much going on between the ears that kept him from truly embracing that peak. He's never looked the same since then. That's why I think Tyson Fury had a greater heavyweight peak, which is what we're talking about.
Much appreciated, my friend. Now we're gonna have back and forth conversation. Who had the greater heavyweight peak, Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua? Blunts, you begin. Back and forth convo. Go ahead, guys.
All right. So the problem is that JJ, I love you. The problem is when you look at this, unfortunately, with Fury, he did have some great peaks, but he had bigger fall offs outside of the ring, and for other issues that were inside of the ring. Famously, he took a 2-year retirement from the boxing ring, but then was followed by a positive PED test, which subsequently made his titles get taken from him. So his peak dropped. Came back, obviously felt some low-level competition before the Wilder fight, and then went back to fighting low-level competition in between. The thing with Fury, unfortunately, I feel like his peaks were always stopped by his own issues outside, as well as his mental state, which affected everything else. Because
we're talking a lot about
how many retirements did Fury have in the sport of boxing?
Well, bro, I don't take anything away from Floyd Mayweather or Sugar Ray Leonard for having plenty of retirements, dude. This is a game with a gigantic magnifying glass with lots of pressure. Dude, just me handling my job at work comes with a lot of pressure that gets tough to deal with. So I'm not going to hold retirement against him. Sure, he failed a PED test. We're not talking about character here. We're talking about peaks. And in my opinion, Tyson Fury's fall was harder because his peak was higher. So in order to have an enormous fall, you have to have an enormous rise to the top. And Fury kept falling and drugs and cocaine. But that moment, those 3 fights where he shut the boxing world up against arguably one of the heaviest punchers in the history of the sport, he did it relatively with ease. And that was his peak. So that's what I'm arguing. Is whose peak is bigger?
And I can understand that.
What's Anthony Joshua's peak? What are you saying?
So that's where I actually kind of disagree, because you actually look at it, Joshua's peaks were always much, much higher, because he was the gold medalist. He was the literal golden boy for the UK. He had picked up the 3 belts that Fury had dropped because of a positive drug test and retirement needed in order to make that drug test look better.
2 years after Fury did it.
No, actually, he said that he actually ended up getting the Charles Martin fight very quickly, then fought Klitschko in a record-breaking venue where also, if I remember correctly, if you look at the numbers, 10 million people had viewed that fight across the globe.
But you're not.
It literally shook up the boxing world. The Fury fight, the Fury Wilder fight, I can tell you this much, did not shake up the boxing world. It put him to sleep. Arguably one of the most boring fights in the heavyweight division history. Luckily, he had Wilder, who I'm not going to talk illy pertaining to skill, but it is what it is. The problem is Joshua.
Where is Anthony Joshua's peak? Because that's what the top.
Anthony Joshua had, I think, the biggest peak we've ever seen pertaining to heavyweight outside of Mike Tyson. Because we saw it where women would walk by Floyd Mayweather and look at this Adonis and say, I don't know who you are. Who's Floyd Mayweather? I think that you look at a peak like that, that means significantly more than what Fury, which you would just walk by and be like, oh, that's a big motherfucker.
Hey, if I'm a hot woman and I'm walking by a 5'7" little dude or a 6'6" big specimen, yeah, I'm gonna walk by the little fella and look right at the big guy. But that's still not answering what the peak of Anthony Joshua's career is. You're giving me a lot of highlights.
That's the thing, JJ. Even the viewership numbers say that Joshua's peak was always significantly higher. Well, if you look at it, he had 8 pay-per-view sales that did over 1 million. I can tell you this: Fury only had 1.
So that was his peak. The 8 pay-per-view sales that did over 1 million.
I mean, that tells. I'm not trying to but viewership, popularity, how you are viewed by the general public, very much so
But
reflects on the peak of your height of popularity, how you are viewed in the sport.
Anthony
I think
Joshua
will be remembered more long term than Tyson Fury.
Anthony Joshua's still famous. Does that mean he's in his peak? No, I want to hear you say what was his peak. You still haven't cleared it for me.
Again, his peak was being the gold medalist who unified 3 titles and brought heavyweight boxing back to its popularity, because it wasn't Tyson.
His whole career, man. We're talking peaks here. We're talking peaks. If you're saying
again, he had the highest peaks in the sport. That's what I'm saying. Is literally at one point in time, he was the most popular fighter in the sport, only rivaled by Canelo Alvarez. That is a peak, and that is a peak that is arguably more popular than the guy who needed time off consistently because of PED usage, cocaine usage,
broke the bronze bomber.
And mental health issues.
He broke the bronze bomber. That was his peak. Those 3 fights where he came up back off the canvas, that was his peak. And in my opinion, that peak was greater than Joshua's. And I'll rest with that.
All right, guys, good to go. Judges, send me your score totals for round number 3. I'm going to move on to round number 4. Much appreciated. Billionaire and Lloyd Sports Saint, please send me your scores. Thank you, guys. Round number 4. The prompt is this is an interesting one, actually.
Yeah.
Great round once again, by the way, guys. Who is the real face of boxing right now? Nobody or still Canelo Alvarez? So we're going to have JJ uninterrupted. Who is the real face of boxing right now? Is it no one? Is it basically vacant? Or is it still, at this point, Canelo Alvarez? Begin.
All right, man. So this one I might get ran off the stage with, but y'all just got to hear me out. There's never a point where there's not a face, guys. When people ask who the face of boxing, they confuse 2 different things, like who's the best fighter in the sport or what's the face, the most recognizable figure representing it. Those 2 things are not the same thing. The face of boxing's always been who the casual fans associate with the sport, who can drive in the most eyeballs, the dollars. We've seen that from Mike Tyson, De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, and it went to Canelo. And unfortunately, the torch has not been passed. So that still makes Canelo the face of boxing. They're the symbol of boxing. In my opinion, that role still belongs to Canelo Alvarez. Easiest way to test that is, and I did this week to prepare for this, ask 10 random ass people to name a boxer today. I promise you guys, I asked just different color people, men, women. 9 of them said Canelo. The 10th one just said, I don't know anything about boxing. Hardcore boxing fans are going to debate pound for pound lists, but casual fans follow the stars. Casual fans are who's going to put the asses in the seats. Canelo is still the star that represents the sport worldwide. He's the one fighter who can still create a massive event just with a phone call. He can call David Benavidez. He can call Bevo. Hell, he can call Jake Paul. And those fights instantly become global spectacles. And let's not forget, man, he was 1 round away from getting a draw with Terrence Crawford. And you might say, yeah, those scorecards were a little bit off, but that proves my point. The face of the sport, the face of the boxing, he gets those questionable calls because he results to giant paydays for the entire industry. So just because there's not a clear number 1 right now who's bringing all the money, that doesn't mean the face has disappeared. It just means we didn't do our makeup right now. It just means we're not looking our best. But Canelo Alvarez is still the face, and it hasn't gone away yet.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Blunts, uninterrupted. Who is the real face of boxing right now? Nobody or still Canelo Alvarez? Go ahead, brother.
So for me, if you really look at the dynamic of the sport of boxing right now, there's nobody who stands out to be the absolute face of our sport. Unfortunately, I mean, people could make arguments that Mike Tyson is still the face of boxing. There's arguments that Tank Davis is the sport of boxing, Canelo Alvarez. But when you look at it in all reality, our sport is actually being driven by events, not by people. Because more often than not, we've seen the individuals who, and we can bring up Canelo Alvarez, Tank Davis, their viewership has now completely been adjusted solely based off of the event, not who they're fighting, which in the sport of boxing in the past, oftentimes a star could pull in the viewership by even facing lesser than great opposition. But even Canelo, again, I will bring this up. Canelo, who was our sport of boxing for quite a while, did so little numbers versus Skull, both in gate and in pay-per-view, that they never released the numbers. This says a lot. And we're seeing this more and more. So right now, in the sport of boxing, that who's the face of boxing? It's an empty silhouette. And it's right for the picking. It's more about who's going to pick it up.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Back and forth conversation. JJ, you go first. Who is the real face of boxing right now? Nobody or still Canelo Alvarez? Go ahead. Yeah, man.
The torch has to be passed. Nobody loved to see Mayweather versus McGregor. Nobody liked to see Mayweather versus Berto, but it wasn't even arguable. Mayweather was still the face of boxing. Yes, less people tuned into Mayweather versus Berto. More people tuned into Mayweather McGregor because, like you said, it was the event that they tuned in for, but it was still Mayweather, the face of boxing. Until that torch gets passed, it has to be Canelo. This isn't a sanctioning body. We don't have periods of recess or vacancy. You mentioned Skull in Saudi Arabia with Canelo. That was in Saudi Arabia at 6 a.m. Nobody really leveraged that fight to be some super fight. We all knew that was just a stay busy fight for Terrence Crawford. So if Skull is your reasoning why Canelo is not the face of boxing, I challenge you to look at the Crawford 42 million numbers on Netflix. And like I said, he's taking May off this year, and May is going to be a great month for boxing. But as soon as he comes back in September, we're all going to be lining up to see who's it going to be. We're going to be talking about all these fighters. He still gets the people going, and we're still going to see the gigantic number from Canelo, man.
The unfortunate thing is we can bring up the Netflix fight, but unfortunately, we just had Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua get very close, if not actually beat those numbers.
No, it didn't beat him.
Was it? If I remember correctly, it was very close, and that shouldn't even matter compared to the type of event that was. We were talking about an undisputed, monumentally legacy fight, and it still did less than Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul.
Well, Mike.
That's my point. Is there's nothing.
Phenom, dog. And
I know, and that's my point. Is like right now, the Canelo numbers we did see drop. I mean, we legitimately saw from when he was able to sell 700K versus Munguia.
We saw Mayweather.
So all of a sudden, his numbers begin to dwindle.
We saw De La Hoya's numbers drop. We saw Mike Tyson's numbers drop, and we saw Mayweather's.
Well, Mike's actually numbers dropped. Neither did De La Hoya's. Neither did really Mayweather's. Mayweather's more often than not actually dropped. If you can go look at this, because I'm very, very familiar with the pay-per-view numbers based off of Mike Tyson, Floyd, Pacquiao. Most of those dudes would very rarely drop their pay-per-view sales by a quarter of what their highest were ever. So unfortunately,
Lennox Lewis, his numbers dropped.
Mike actually stopped fighting on pay-per-view very quickly after the Lennox Lewis fight. He was just on Showtime for free.
He was still the
so that's
so when Mayweather fought Andre Berto, would you say he wasn't the face of boxing anymore? Because
at that point in time, he pretty much, you could make the argument that his numbers dwindled. Why? Because of his performance. He was still somewhat popular, but his numbers dropped from 4.6 million to his last admitted fight to the public. His retirement fight dropped to 400K. So these things do happen, but.
Is that what you're saying? So you're saying there was somebody?
I'm saying Canelo at this point in stage is not the face of boxing, because at this point in time, he's shown that his numbers are dwindling, that the fans are over it, and there's nobody who has taken up the reins to even show that they're above him. Because you could look at it, Usyk is selling just as big of numbers as Canelo, actually bigger.
Go ask your next door neighbor who Usyk is, and tell me if there's a face of boxing.
Yeah, but we're American. You go over to the UK and you ask a Ukrainian who is Canelo. I don't think they'll know if you show them a picture of him.
I'm willing to bet you
they will be like, that's some Irishman.
No. That's the difference. Canelo is a global superstar, man. And
he was.
Oh, so you're saying William?
I think that JJ. I'm just saying, like in reality. The face of boxing usually is the guy who pretty much can show that without a doubt he could outsell everybody.
To me,
Canelo is no longer that guy.
We know Canelo's dwindling because the writing is on the wall. But to your everyday casual, they're still going to set up their fajitas. They're still going to get the family together, and they're still going to bring out the biggest party of the year for Canelo Alvarez. That's not changing.
I don't know. And also based off of what I said, JJ, inactivity killing the sport. Canelo out a year.
Oh,
This is the longest Canelo been out of the ring. By the time he gets back in the ring,
oh, you think he's not?
Everybody going to be inside wondering where he's at.
Final points, guys. Final points.
Who's that guy? He's been out of the ring too long. I don't recognize him. Come on, Bloods. But no, I'm just saying, until the baton gets passed, we don't have vacancies in the face of boxing. We never have. Canelo still has to pass it on.
But my last question is, do we think Canelo versus Mbili is going to outsell some of the bigger fights this year in boxing? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't think
so he's not the face of boxing no more.
So you're saying the face of boxing has to have the highest pay-per-view sales every year to be the face of boxing?
Yes, that is being the face of boxing.
So Floyd Mayweather,
that is being the number one person who the sport comes out to watch. No matter who you're fighting, they will come to watch.
So William Skull in Saudi Arabia at 6 a.m. You don't fault the
wasn't 6 a.m. here in the United States. No, actually, if you remember, adjusted the time to where it was nighttime.
You brought up
so his numbers, even in Mexico,
thank you for the donation.
Even his American pay-per-view ship with the American audience and the Mexican audience had diminished.
That caught me off guard. I think we're pretty much wrapped up on that prompt for the most part. Judge, if you guys can send me your score totals for round number 4, I'd much appreciate it. Willie, that's a gigantic donation. It means a complete ton to me. If there was a way I could repay, I would, but I don't really know how I can help you. But it means a lot. Just keep making these content. We've got more tournaments coming, so thank you so much, my friend. I really appreciate that immensely, like absolutely immensely. Great debate, guys. That was a nice way to end it. What you guys think? Really good back and forth. Really good back and forth, guys. I'm getting the scorecards right now, actually, from all the judges, and I'll quickly give you guys the outcome. Hold on. 9.
Are we going to overtime? Can you tell us that at least?
Well, about to say. All right, so the first score total. Wow, another one. No, much appreciated, brother. Much appreciated. Lloyd Sports scores about 39-37 for JJ Solomon. Adams Boxing Show and Billionaire Boxing TV both scored us about a draw. So we are moving on to some 5th rounds. Adams scores at 38-38, and Billionaire scores at 39-39, which I've never seen before.
What?
We are moving on to 5th round, guys. We are finally going to properly utilize this tiebreaker. What a good debate from both of you. And we're going to have our 5th round, guys. So we're going to stay just a little bit longer. Let's get this topic. I know you guys are ready to close the show. So for the 5th topic, what I want to do since a tiebreaker, I don't want to do a whole intro for the topic and whatnot. We'll just let you guys go back and forth the entire time like a real debate, and we'll have the judges score the 5th and final round. So the tiebreaker, it's actually a pretty good tiebreaker. Should championship fights be 12 rounds or go back to 15? Should championship fights be 12 rounds or go back to 15? We will have Blunts start the conversation, but you guys will go back and forth the entire time. Let's begin. Before we start, Blunts, 12 or 15 rounds for championship fights?
15.
12 or 15?
I said 12.
12.
I said 15.
Hey, and Blunts, I'm gonna shut the hell up. I want the judges to get real content instead of us just screaming all over each other. So I'll wait for a break for me to jump in, brother.
Same.
Respect. I appreciate both of you as well. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Blunts and boxing begin.
So the reason I believe 15 rounds should be brought back, and this is the one thing I want everybody to make extremely clear, it wasn't 15-round fights that were killing fighters. Lack of weight divisions and bad weight cutting. Same-day weigh-ins. That's what killed people, not the 15-round fights. The 15-round fights actually kind of showed the levels above, in reality, championship-level fighters and contenders. Unfortunately, bad things happen, the sports get adjusted, and it tries to learn from itself. But in this case of how many rounds boxing should be, they got it wrong. 15 rounds brings more drama, brings a lot more entertainment, but it also shows us the level of difference between these athletes.
I'll chime in and just say, bro, the purpose of title fights is not to determine who can take accumulate more neurological damage. It's strictly to determine who's a better fighter. And I typed something out, so I'll just give my presentation because this one does mean a lot to me. And I'll say I just want to give my spiel. Championship fights should absolutely stay at 12 rounds. Fighter safety, fighter safety, fighter safety. And I know you addressed it real quick. Boxing's already one of the most dangerous sports in the world. Going back to 15 round fights is literally moving backwards. We're the only sport that's not making progress for fighter safety. In a major study published through the National Institute of Health, Blunt, examining more than 300 fights of professional boxing deaths from 1950 to 2007, they found that fatalities significantly declined after championship fights were reduced from 15 to 12. A separate review conducted by Association of Ringside Physicians, they analyzed deaths between 2000 and 2019, and they found fatal brain injuries occurring every year in boxing, with the increase happening as the fighters go deeper into later rounds. That's less oxygen, that's more exhaustion. So the idea of intentionally adding rounds 13, 14, 15, it just means you're adding more to exhausted fighters to absorb damage. Go ahead, bro. I feel like I'm taking too much because
no, it's fine. Right? So my biggest point, my biggest thing is with the subsequent drop in 15 rounds, the science may show that it had dropped the number of deaths, but also if you look at it, that happens to coincide with the popularity of boxing actually dropping as well, and the amount of competitors dropping as well, with the height of other sports becoming more popular throughout the world. That's kind of an ironic part of it.
There's a way we can make it.
And these numbers are true. We can watch it with the subsequent rise of NFL, NBA here in the United States, MLB, so on and so forth. These sports became more popular and actually pulled a dramatic amount of the amount of fighters that were once gravitated towards boxing to these more, as you even said it, and I agree, safer sports.
Because they're safer. Listen, the NFL has done what it's done. Look how it's going up in revenue. It's almost doubled in its total value in the last 15 years, and they continue to put an emphasis on player safety. So that tells you it's not about the rules and protecting the players. It's about the actual asset. That's what we're watching.
JJ, that's the thing, though. In boxing, we still see about the same average amount of deaths in the sport, and it's not that dramatically changed from what it was before.
So we should go and make it worse?
But my point is those three rounds didn't show to actually be that much of a difference pertaining to why fighters die. This is more of an issue that I believe, and I think a lot of the science actually would probably support this, that a lot of the damage is actually taken from inside of training camps and not in the actual fights.
Absolutely not. Training camps are protected.
Because it subsequently said no, because head mitts have actually been proven to cause more damage than getting subsequently punched in the head without them.
With all of
that's the ironic part.
With all of that said, that's a dangerous ass sport. And you're saying we should take a step backwards and add 3 more professional grueling rounds.
So JJ, if you ask a lot of the historians in our sport, and I'm talking about like Cliff Roll, I'm talking about Adam Aberowitz, right, if I'm saying his name properly. A lot of these guys actually support the claim of putting it back to 15 rounds because they're saying the same thing I am. The science was wrong at that point. It was actually weight classes. It was actually weight cuts, same day weigh-ins that were occurring still before the 15 rounds.
Sure, I'm not. No. I'm not saying that. Okay, rounds 13, 14, 15 for sure you're going to die. I'm saying you're increasing the likelihood of sustained injury.
Well, JJ, the lack of activity nowadays, as you said, it's okay. Because these guys fight once a year.
Hey, if there's one Pritchard Colon we can save, if there's one Gerald McClellan, I don't give a damn what these ratings say.
That didn't go. Both of those fights didn't even get to the 12th round. That was bad officiating. That is not having to do anything with rounds in the sport. You're talking about getting punched in the back of the head. That's getting punched in the back of the head. That's subsequent way different. getting headbutted. That's a significantly different than the amount of rounds in a championship level fight. These are individuals who actually got hurt before they even entered the championship level fight because of accidents or bad officiating.
But you're giving them more opportunity when their body is already exhausted after a 12-round fight. 36 minutes is grueling, dog. And you're wanting to say, yeah, you have a lack of oxygen. You have you're more exhausted now, and now we're going to throw you in there for 3 more rounds.
So should UFC change how they structure their rounds because they're fighting 5 minutes straight?
I'm not talking about UFC, and I don't have.
But no, I'm just saying because you're arguing that how exhausted you are. These are athletes. These guys are supposed to position themselves into being the best athlete in the world in their weight classes. And like I said, it actually shows us the difference in level of athlete.
Deaths have gone down since 1982. What happened in 1982?
Yeah, but so has the number of licensed fighters. So has the number of licensed fighters, but also the increase of weight classes coincided with that. And so did the amount of same-day weigh-ins subsequently changed that.
In a sport,
remember that because
we have 8 to 11 deaths a year in our sport. That number is not going down. It's been steady since 1982. So
yeah, and in the 80s is when we increased the number of weight classes that we had in boxing. Super middleweight, cruiserweight, fucking junior middleweight. All of these weight classes were added in the 80s.
Does it make it more dangerous? We have 8 to 10 deaths a year right now.
Again, there's more science that supports JJ. That's the thing I'm letting you know. There's more science that actually supports the idea of bat weight cutting, as well as more increased damage that's done outside of the actual championship level fights. So much so that the Olympics took away headgear because they recognized that it was causing more damage to use head mitts, but they still use it in sparring.
You're just saying the science shows. I've given you 2 studies that tell you that since 1982 we've had less deaths, and I showed you a second study that says injuries happen later in the
JJ,
fight.
I also said that the science supports my claim that weight cutting was the difference. Because in the 80s is when they introduced more weight classes in the sport of boxing.
Tell me what science? What science? Where'd you read that at?
You can find it right like online. There's literally tons of science on bat weight cuts and how it can diminish the amount of water in the brain, which is actually more of a dramatic change in how fighters get damaged and neurological issues. It's not
I've given you
solely the fighting in the ring.
I didn't say it was solely, but it increases your chance of injury. And if it increases our fighters' chance of injury, I'm not with it, and I will never be with it, especially when the real science shows that fighters sustain more injuries later in the fight, and that since 1982, deaths have gone down.
JJ, again, you can talk to the legit historians of our sport who will support my claim that actually there was never as many recorded deaths within that 12 to 15 round area than the ones that come earlier. In fact, we've seen more deaths and injuries occur earlier in the rounds.
Fellas,
not later. That's a legit fact. That is a legit fact.
The judges are already sending me their scorecards as we speak, so I think that's a good way to prove it.
Oh boy, here we go.
Judges, the next 2 judges send me your scores because I got a score from 1 judge. Other 2 judges, please send me your score. We're gonna have our final outcome. What a debate! Sheesh. I knew it would be too. That's the craziest part.
I just kept thinking, like, what would I be saying? Because like I said, I see boxing a lot the same way Blunts does. So I just kept saying, what would I be saying to myself in this debate?
It was
I really used to push and believe 100% JJ what you said, but when I started hearing like Cliff Rold, who runs TBRB and is also like one of the dudes who literally tracks all of the top ranked fighters throughout decades, like he gave me some information better than that. I'm like, wow. That's really interesting.
I have the outcome when you guys are ready. We go to the score totals. Adam's Boxing Show scores about 48 to 48 even. We have Saint scores about 48 to 47, and Billionaire Boxing TV scores about 49 to 48. For your winner by majority decision, JJ Solomon from the Spit Bucket Podcast gets the job done.
Good stuff, man. I
What a
appreciate
scrap,
you guys.
man.
That was tough, dog. That was tough, Blunts. That was
What a
hard.
That was
scrap.
a great debate.
Great work, boys. Thank you
You're-
both so much. Before I bring the judges in, I'll let both of you guys have the mic. We'll let Blunts go first, actually. Blunts, you did a tremendous job. You came on, in my opinion, you came on really strong. JJ built a bit of a lead, and you came on extremely strong in the final few rounds and made it really close. Could have completely gone either way. Talk to us a little bit about your post-debate thoughts and your thoughts overall, man.
It was just a great debate. I appreciate JJ. JJ's a hell of a competitor and himself, you know, a big fan of the sport. He loves the sport like, you know, I do. So it never hurts me to lose somebody who's got so much love for the sport of boxing.
Respect, man. You did a tremendous job nonetheless. We really appreciate having you. And if you ever need anything in the space, make sure to let me know. And if you ever want to compete again or judge or whatnot or be involved in these tournaments, I would love to continue having you in some way, shape, or form, brother.
Definitely. I appreciate it, Max.
I appreciate you, Blunts. Hell of a job, dog.
Thank you, Blunts. We'll talk soon then, all right? Thank you so much, brother. All right. JJ gets the job done. Majority decision and a real scrap, man. Give us your post thoughts. How are you feeling? What you think of the debate? And now you'll also be taking on Remy, but we'll add that part at the end. Let's just talk more about what just happened.
No, I knew it was going to be tough, man. Blunt is, like I said, and I want to preface this with this. These debates, you know, somebody has to win. And Blunt's made great point after great point after great point. But I can't sit here and acknowledge him too much because I'm trying to beat you. But Blunt's is one of the best to do it. And his boxing IQ and his knowledge is damn near second to none. So it's an honor to be on stage with him, and it's an honor to get the W. But I knew he was going to bring stats and history. So I just wanted to be ready with every little thing he's going to say, because I had a feeling I knew what he was going to say, because, you know, us boxing minds think alike. So, hey, somebody had to win. It was obviously about as close as you can get. So salute to Blunt. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. What a
Thanks
debate.
to the judges, man. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, that was an exceptional debate, man. Before we get the judges' intake as well, like, really great scrap. You get the job done in a razor close tie-breaking majority decision. Now you're taking on Remy, which that honestly might be such a freaking tremendous debate. I can't wait for that one. How are you feeling about that matchup? You're taking on Remy next week, ideally.
I know Remy's style, man. Remy uses big words. He's the TIP of the boxing industry, and he tries to overtalk you. So I'm gonna be ready for him. I'm gonna mute myself when it's respectable, and I'm gonna be ready to throw some facts at Remy.
I can't wait, brother. We're really looking forward to it. Congratulations, man, and we'll see you in the finals, brother.
All right, brother. Appreciate you guys. Salute to the panel. Salute to everybody, dog. Thanks a bunch.
Sure. My God.
Respect. Adams Boxing Show. You had it a draw, and then you had it a draw again.
Yeah,
What
man.
did you think of the debate, man?
Man, it was tough, man. They was going back and forth. I love both what they did, man. I salute to both guys, man. Really.
Yeah, man. It was a tremendous debate, and we're really glad to have you involved. And
Yes,
if you have
sir.
any more intel, let us know. But overall, it was just a tremendous back and forth, brother.
Yes, sir.
Billions. What'd you think of that debate, brother?
And probably that debate right there is probably one of the reasons why I probably wouldn't judge no more, bro. That was tough. I'm not gonna lie, bro. That was tough. Only thing I could probably tell you, the rounds that I gave them cleanly. I like Blunt's when they were talking about when he was talking about Shakur being stripped, the sanctioning bodies. I love Blunt's argument, man. Like, that was cool. I wish JJ would have tied them tweets into his argument a little better. I heard him pulling for him. I just wish you would have like laced it in and kind of like made it like some mic drop moments with that. I love JJ's argument about Tyson Fury. I'm not gonna lie. And when Blunt started, I initially agreed with him, but the way JJ was able to bring Tyson Fury's whole argument into play, man, that was real good for me, man. Like I said, bro, I don't know if I want to debate the next. I don't know if I want to judge next time, bro. This is tough. So
Yeah. And matter of fact, before Lloyd goes, I want to say something. I think I had Blunts winning that first round. Then I had JJ winning the second and the third. So I was like, oh, snap, my man, JJ gonna close that fourth, and then I gave the fourth to Blunts. That's what made it a draw. Then I had the draw in the last round too. So that's why it came even for me.
Bro, like 2 of the rounds, I couldn't pick a decisive winner. That's why I scored them even. Like, I was like, you know what I mean?
That's a debate, bro. 2-10-10. I don't even blame you, bro. I really don't even blame you, man. I mean, we all saw this coming though. Like, Billions debated both of you guys. I've seen you guys both debate multiple times. I knew it'd be either a split either way, majority either way, or tiebreaker. And it's exactly what I expected. You both really rose to the occasion. Saint was the only one who actually had a winner after 4. Saint, you had a 48-47 for JJ total. What'd you think of that debate, brother?
Man, one hell of a debate. One hell of a debate. Salute both guys. Salute the judges as well. I know it was tough. I kind of like feel what you feeling, Billionaire, on the fact of doing this again, because like, man, it's tough. It was close. I just felt like initially I had Spit Bucket actually winning most of I think the first 3 or 2 rounds, and then like you mentioned in your summary a bit, Max, him coming on strong. Blunts, that is, and I agree. The last 2 I gave the Blunts for that reason. I feel like he got a little more detailed with his responses. I kind of wrote a lot, so I won't get into round by round like I did the last one. But man, one hell of a debate. It lived up to what you guys were alluding to, mentioning this bout when we had the Remy and the HOB. Like, it lived up to it. Literally, it was a great debate, and man, it was tough. It was tough to call for sure.
Most definitely. I appreciate all 3 of you doing that. It's actually interesting because that's Blunt's style. When he went against Billions, he came on strong against Billions too. Because I remember he was after round 3. Billions would have won by like unanimous decision if it was like a 3-rounder, but it ended up being a 1-point difference because he came on strong those last 2, and he did that once again. I give him a lot of props for it, and I'm glad we have him. I mean, he's the one that took out the previous champ, how boxing works. So Blunts is not one to be played with in this space, man. And JJ as well, he took on a very tough task once again, and I'm glad that we got these finals set up. And I appreciate all of you guys. We're done with the stream. I'm wrapping it up now. I appreciate all of you guys. Any final messages? Judges, if you guys are good to do one more debate to judge, I would really appreciate you guys for the finals. If you judges, I'll go in order for judges first and JJ last. Final messages from Adams first. Final messages, brother.
Hey man, salute to everybody, man. The judges and all the contestants / debaters, man. And shout out to you too, Max.
Much appreciated. Salute, brother, and we'll see you soon. I really appreciate you, brother. Billions, the champ himself, who put the title up for grabs for this tournament, who hopefully comes back soon. What'd you think, man? Final, I guess, message before you head out.
Man, I love pressure. I'm gonna be back, but man, that was tough, bro. I'm not gonna lie. JJ, congratulations, man. Like you a whole new monster this tournament, man. Blunts did great too, man. That was a tough debate, man. I can't wait till this finals. Let's go, bro.
This finals
this is Billionaire Boxing TV.
Yes, sir, brother. See you soon, brother. Thank you so much, my friend. Salute, bro. And Saint, I want to give you a special thanks, brother, because you came in and gave about 2 hours of your time, basically on call. You didn't expect it, and you ended up coming in and being a massive help. And you've done all of your scores were very solid, and overall you've given great assessments. So I appreciate you, brother. Is there any final messages you want to say? And if you want to be involved, maybe we'll have you judge the finals if you're down, bro.
For sure. Count me in. I want to be involved. Though it was tough, like I was just saying, and how Billionaire was alluding to, I still want to be involved. Love the space, like I mentioned before. This is great. Salute to you. Salute to the judges. Salute to the contestants. Can't wait for the final, man. Damn, JJ versus Remy. Wow. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure.
It's gonna be a scrap. That's gonna be a scrap. Much appreciated, Saint. Salute, and we'll see you soon. And JJ, final messages heading into next week, brother.
Just one big massive thank you to everybody involved. My opponent was a damn real one. I was losing sleep over it this week. Thanks to the judges for listening and not just taking their opinions. Thank you, Max, for putting this together. And Remy, I almost want to do like Shakur and say, I ain't gonna fight my brother. That's my homeboy. But man, we're gonna have to come out there and let them hands fly. I know it's gonna be a great one, great for our brands. So bring it. I'm looking forward to a hell of a debate and get this thing wrapped up in a week. So thank you guys.
Respect. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate all of you guys. God bless. And if you guys need anything, let us know. We'll be back next week for the finals, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Thank you.
Sir, can't wait.